All right, worksheet day 40 for business math, doing business finance, inventory and overhead. This is the last of the business math worksheet pages. Starting out with the table here, I'm going to move that up a little bit so we have some room. So number 1 says, Wet Stuff Clothing uses the retail method to calculate the cost of inventory at the end of the month. Based on the information above, use the retail method to calculate the following. Round all dollar amounts to the nearest cent. Round the percent to the nearest hundredth of a percent. And so the first part says, find the ending inventory at retail. So to find the ending inventory at retail, we're going to use the retail column. We're going to take the cost of the goods. We're going to subtract the net sales. So I want to take my cost minus my net sales. So my cost, $43,200, minus my net sales, $21,600. And I'm going to grab my calculator and go ahead and subtract. 43,200 minus 21,600 gives me 21,600. So my ending inventory at retail, we just took the cost of the goods available at retail minus the net sales at retail. Then it wants us to find the cost to retail ratio. To find the cost to retail ratio, we're going to take the cost of the goods available for the cost and then the cost of the goods available at retail, and we're going to divide those two numbers. So we're using these two values here and we're just going to divide them. So cost to retail ratio, we're doing the cost at cost to the cost at retail. So we're taking 30,888 divided by 43,200. And again, I'm going to go ahead and use my calculator to divide that out. 30,888 divided by 43,200 gives me 0.715. I want to change that to a percent, so I'm going to times it by 100, which moves my decimal 2 places, 71.5%. In my percent, I'm supposed to round to the nearest hundredth. I'm not even to the hundredth, but you may see them do this and put the 0 in there to show that you went to the hundredth spot, 71.50. Probably should take it either way, but if it's being really picky, sometimes it is, they make you put that extra 0 on there. And then we're going to do the third part of that, estimated ending inventory at cost. So what we're going to do is take the ending inventory at retail, which was our answer to number 1. We're going to multiply it by the cost to retail ratio, which is this percent that we found over here on number 2. So basically you're going to take the answer to number 1 times the answer for number 2. So my answer to number 1 was 26,100. We're going to multiply it by the 0.715 since we want our percent as a decimal. And so if we multiply that out, 21,600 times 0.715 gives me 15,444. And so my ending inventory at retail, $21,600. My cost to retail ratio, 71.5%, and so my estimated inventory at cost, $15,444. So number 2 going to be pretty much the same as number 1 was. North Star Outerwear uses the retail method to calculate the cost of inventory at the end of each month. Based on the information above, use the retail method to calculate the following. And so the first thing we want to do, the ending inventory at retail. So we're going to go under the retail column, take the cost minus the net sales. So my cost, $40,000, minus my net sales, 23,200. And if I subtract it on my calculator, I then get $16,800. So the ending inventory at retail, $16,800. Number 2 wants us to do the cost to retail ratio. So we're using these two values. We're dividing the cost by the retail. And so we're taking the 27,000 divided by the 40,000. Divided by the 40,000. So 27,000 divided by 40,000 gives us 0.675. Again, we want to change that to a percent. So we get 67.5%, or you may see them put it as 67.50 since it specifies go to the nearest hundredth of a percent. Then the estimated ending inventory at cost, we're going to take the ending inventory at retail, which is the answer for number 1. We're going to multiply it by the cost to retail ratio, which is the answer for number 2. And so we're going to take our 16,800 times our 0.675 since we want the percent as a decimal. So if I multiply that out, we get $11,340. And then number 3, same kind of thing. If I move it to number 3 so we can see it a little better. Hickory Creek Jeans uses the retail method to calculate the cost of inventory at the end of each month. Based on the information above, use the retail method to calculate the following. And so the end inventory at retail, so at retail we're going to take our cost minus our net sales. And so we're taking the 56,000 minus the net sales, 28,560. 56,000 minus 28,560 gives me 27,440. Then we're going to do the cost to retail ratio. So we're looking at the cost of goods sold. We're going to take the cost divided by the retail value. And so we're taking 38,780 divided by the 56,000 that we had there. So 38,780 divided by 56,000 gives us 0.6925. We're going to change that to a percent. So moving it over 2 places, 69.25. And that one is to the nearest hundredth. So again, we don't have to round, and we'll just leave it at 69.25. And then we're going to do the third part. The third part says find the estimated inventory at cost. We're going to take the ending inventory at retail, which is the answer to number 1. We're going to multiply it by that cost to retail ratio that we found in number 2. And so the 27,440 times the 0.6925. So if I multiply that out, our estimated inventory at cost, 27,440, whoops, I got 400, that'll keep typing, 440 times 0.6925 gives me $19,002.20. So $19,002.20. Number 4, Appalachian Mountain Ware uses the gross profit method to estimate its inventory. Based on the information above, using the gross profit method, calculate the following, round your answers to the nearest cent. So the first thing we have to figure out is what is the cost of goods available for sale. So to find the cost of goods available for sale, we're just going to take our beginning inventory and add our net purchases. We had an inventory of $18,000. We're going to add the purchases we made for the month. So inventory plus our purchases. So 18,000 plus 9,900 gives me $27,900. So the cost of goods available for sale, we have $27,900. Then we're going to do the estimated cost of goods sold. And so what we need to do, first of all, if this is our gross profit rate, we're going to use the complement of that to figure out what the goods sold are. So we have to take 100% and subtract 30%. So 70% is what we're going to use for the estimated cost of goods sold. We're going to take that 70% times the net sales. And so I'm going to have my net sales up here. So we're going to take 0.70 times the net sales. So 0.70 times 16,740. So 0.70 times 16,740 gives me 11,718. 11,718. So the estimated cost of my goods sold, 11,718. So if I want to find then what the estimated cost of my inventory is, I'm going to take the cost of the goods that I have available for sale, which is the answer to number 1. I'm going to subtract my estimated cost of what I actually sold. So I'm going to take number 1, I'm going to subtract number 2. So 27,900 minus 11,718. So 27,900 minus 11,718 gives me 16,182 for my estimated cost of my ending inventory. So number 5, same kind of thing, Park Avenue Formal Wear uses the gross profit method to estimate its ending inventory. Based on the information above, using the gross profit method, calculate the following, round answers to the nearest cent. So first of all, we have to find the cost of the goods available for sale. We're going to take our initial inventory, we're going to add any of our purchases that we made. And so we had 15,500 in our beginning inventory. We purchased $9,150 worth of items during that month. So 15,550 or 15,500, type that in right. 15,500 plus 9,150 gives me 24,650. So 24,650 is the cost of the goods that we have available to sell. We then want to find the estimated cost of goods sold. So first of all, this is the average gross profit rate. We're going to find the complement of that. So we're taking 100% minus 50%, and so we're going to do 50%. We're going to take that 50%, which is 0.5, times the net sales for the month. So 50% times 12,330 will give us our estimated cost of our goods sold. So 0.50 times 12,330 gives me 6,165. So to find the estimated cost of our ending inventory then, we're going to take our cost of the goods available for sale, which is number 1. We're going to subtract the estimated cost that we found of our goods sold on number 2. And so $24,650 was our cost of goods sold. $6,165 was the estimated, or $24,650 was the cost available for sale. $6,165 was the cost of our goods sold. So to find my value of my inventory, I'm just going to subtract $24,650 minus $6,165. Gives me $18,485. And number 6, going to be the same kind of thing. Western Wear Incorporated uses the gross profit method to estimate the inventory. Based on the information above, using the gross profit method, calculate the following. What are our costs for our goods available for sale? So we're going to take that beginning inventory, we're going to add our net purchases. And so we have $20,000 in our beginning inventory. We had $10,000 in purchases, so $30,000 is going to be the cost of the goods available for sale. We have $30,000 worth of items available to sell. We then want to estimate the cost of the goods sold, so we are going to take the gross profit rate and find its complement. So if we subtract off our profit of 35%, 100 minus 35 gives me 65%. And so we're going to take 65% times our net sales. So 65% of what we sold, $15,000 worth. And so our estimated cost there, 0.65 times 15,000, gives us $9,750. So our estimated cost of our goods sold, $9,750. The estimated cost of our ending inventory then, we're going to take the cost of the goods available for sale, which is number 1, subtract the estimated cost of the goods sold, which is number 2. So we had $30,000 worth of stuff available for sale. Our estimated cost of the stuff that we sold was $9,750. And so if we subtract 30,000 minus 9,750, we have approximately 20,250 left in our ending inventory. Number 7, it says, during the year, the cost of goods sold for the fashion design group was $220,000. Inventory at the beginning of the year was $22,000, and inventory at the end of the year was $15,400. Calculate the following, round all answers to the nearest hundredths. Assume there are 365 days in a year, so we're using the full year, not ordinary time. So first of all, we want to calculate the average inventory. So what we're going to do to find the average is we're going to take the beginning inventory plus the ending inventory and then divide that by 2 to find the average. We have to remember to add them first before we divide. So the beginning inventory was $22,000. The ending inventory was $15,400. We're going to divide that by 2 to find the average, but first we need to add them together to find our top number. So 22,000 plus 15,400 gives me 37,400. I'm then going to divide by 2 to find the average, and so $18,700 is the average inventory that we had that year. The inventory turnover ratio is what they want us to find for number 2. To find the inventory turnover ratio, we're going to take the cost of the goods sold and we're going to divide it by the average inventory, which is the answer to number 1. So my inventory turnover ratio, we're going to take the cost of goods sold divided by the average inventory, which is our number 1 answer. So the cost of goods sold, 220,000 divided by our average inventory, 18,700. 220,000 divided by 18,700 gives me, and we need to round this off to the hundredths place, so I am getting 11.76470. Whoops, I'll rewrite that. 11.76470. So the hundredths place would be 2 places after the decimal. Since it's followed by a 4, we're just going to say 11.76. So the average inventory ratio, 11.76. And then we're going to find the average days that an item is in inventory. The average days of the item in inventory, we are going to take 365 days in the year. We're going to divide it by the average inventory turnover ratio, which is number 2. So 365 days in a year divided by the inventory turnover, which is number 2. So 365 divided by our 11.76 is what we're going to do. So 365 divided by 11.76 gives me 31.037. So 31.0374. Again, we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, and since that's followed by a 7, we've got to round that up. So we're going to say 31.04. So the average days that we have an item in inventory, just over a month, 31.04 days is how long that would be in inventory. Number 8, same kind of thing. During the year, the cost of goods sold for Martindale shirts and jeans was $290,000. Inventory at the beginning of the year was $20,300. Inventory at the end of the year was $26,100. First of all, calculating the average inventory. So finding the average, we're going to take the beginning plus the ending and divide it by 2 to find its average. So 20,300 plus 26,100 and divide that by 2. But first you have to add the top together. If you try to punch it all in at once, it's not going to work right. So 20,300 plus 26,100 would give me an answer of 46,400. Then we can go ahead and divide by 2. So dividing that by 2, 23,200. So 23,200 is our average inventory. We're then going to find the inventory turnover ratio. So again, we're going to take our cost of goods sold. We're going to divide that by the average inventory, which is our answer to number 1. So the cost of goods sold here, 290,000, divided by our 23,200, which was our answer to number 1. So 290,000 divided by the answer from number 1 gives us 12.5. And again, it says round to the nearest hundredth, so you might see it as 12.50 instead of just 12.5. So if you're getting some weird answer that reminds you about rounding, since it says to the hundredth spot, we'll throw the 0 on the end. Then the average days in inventory. To find the average days in inventory, we're going to take the 365 days that are in a year. We're going to divide it by our inventory turnover ratio, which is number 2. And so 365 divided by our 12.50. So 365 divided by our answer from number 2 gives us 29.2. And again, since it says to the nearest hundredth, we might add the 0, 29.20 days, just slightly less than a month that we have our items in inventory. And number 9, going to be the same kind of thing there. During the year, the cost of goods sold for Cloud High clothing was $220,000. Inventory at the beginning of the year was $24,200. Inventory at the end of the year was $11,000. We first of all want to calculate our average inventory. So we're going to take our beginning inventory plus our ending inventory and divide that by 2. So 24,200 plus 11,000 and divide that by 2. We've got to add those two things together first. So 24,200 plus 11,000 gives me 35,200. Then I'm going to divide by 2. So divide that by 2 gives me 17,600 for our average inventory. We then want to find the average inventory turnover ratio. So we're going to take the cost of goods sold and we're going to divide it by the average inventory, which is the answer to number 1. So we're going to take our 220,000 divided by our 17,600. So 220,000 divided by the answer from number 1 gives me 12.5. And again, they might write it as 12.50 since it specifies to round to the nearest hundredth. Average days in inventory then. For the average days in inventory, we're going to take the 365. What am I writing that for? 365 days in a year divided by the inventory turnover ratio. The answer to number 2. So 365 divided by 12.5. So 365 divided by our answer from number 2 gives us 29.2 or 29.20 days for our average number of days in inventory. Number 10, it says, during 2013, Dallas Building Materials paid $79,000 for insurance expenses. Dallas Building Materials recognizes insurance expenses as an overhead expense. Complete the table below by distributing the insurance expense based on the net sales. So what they're going to do is take each department and find the percent of the total sales that they have, what the percent sales is. They're then going to take that percent times the cost of the insurance so they can divide up the insurance amount between those 3 departments. So for consumer sales, the first one, our net sales, $323,550. We're going to divide that by the $719,000 to find out what percent of our total sales went to consumer sales. So $323,550 divided by 719,000 gives me 45%. So 45% of our sales were consumer sales, so 45% of our insurance expenses is how we're going to divide that up. So 45% of 79,000, so to multiply that times our 79,000 gives us 35,550. So $35,550 is the amount that we are going to bill the consumer sales. And basically we're going to do the same thing for the next department. The next one we're going to do commercial sales. So we're going to take their net sales, $251,650. We're going to divide it by our total net sales, $719,000. So $251,650 divided by 719,000 gives me 35%. So 35% of the sales went to consumer sales, so 35% of the insurance of 79,000 would be 27,650. $27,650 would go to consumer sales. And then the industrial sales, we're going to take the 143,800 again divided by the total sales of 719,000. So 143,800 divided by 719,000 gives me 0.2, which is 20% of our sales. 20% of our insurance expenses of 79,000 then gives me 15,800. So if you wanted to double check yourself, you could add up these three numbers. That should give you the total amount that you paid for insurance. So for consumer sales, we had $35,550 plus consumer sales, $27,650 plus our industrial sales, $15,800. And sure enough, if I add those together, I get the 79,000. So it looks like I have my answers correct. Number 11, going to be the same kind of thing. During 2013, Wisconsin Electrics paid $49,000 for rent expenses. Wisconsin Electronics recognizes rent expenses as an overhead expense. Complete the table by distributing the rent expense based on the net sales. So again, for consumer sales, we had $210,000 worth of sales. We're going to find the percent of the total sales, which were $700,000. So 210,000 divided by 700,000 would give me 30%, 0.3 or 30%. So 30% of our rent we're going to charge to that department. The total rent was $49,000. So 30% of $49,000 gives us $14,700. $14,700 is what we're going to charge for the rent for the consumer sales department. Commercial sales. For our commercial sales, we had $315,000 in net sales. We're going to divide it by the total of $700,000 to find the percent of sales there. So 315,000 divided by 700,000 gives me 45%. So we're then going to charge 45% of our rent expenses to the commercial sales. So 45% of our 49,000. $22,050. $22,050 going to be the amount that we charge to the commercial sales department. And then we'll have our industrial sales. So again, finding the percent of our total sales, we had $175,000 in sales in industrial sales. We're going to divide that by the total sales of 700,000. So 175,000 divided by 700,000 gives me 25%, 0.25. We're going to multiply that by the 79,000, which was our total, or not 79,000, doing the previous problem, 49,000 on this one. So we're going to multiply it by the 49,000, which was our rent expenses. So 25% times 49,000, 12,250. So $12,250 would be the rent expense for the industrial sales. And again, just to double check yourself, if you add up those three answers, should add up to the 49,000. So 14,700 plus 22,050 plus 12,250 gives me 49,000, and that matches up, so I hopefully know that, yep, I probably did it correctly. And one last one, and we're done with our pie chart. During 2013, Waterman Computers paid $26,000 for rent expenses. Waterman Computer recognizes rent expenses as an overhead expense. Complete the table below by distributing the rent expenses to each department based on the square footage. So, Department 101, its square footage is 6,250. The total square footage, 12,500. So 6,250 divided by 12,500, they have 50% of the space. So therefore, they're going to be charged 50% of the rent expenses. So 50% of 26,000 is going to be 13,000. And so their portion of the rent, $13,000. They had to pay for half of it. Department 102, their square footage is 3,750 out of the 12,500, which is the total square footage. So 3,750 divided by 12,500 means they have 30% of the space. Oops. 30%. 0.3 or 30%. So we're going to take the 30% times the rent of 26,000. And so 30% of that means their portion of the rent, $7,800. And then Department 103, their square footage is 2,500. The total square footage is 12,500. So if we take 2,500 divided by 12,500, we get 20%. So 20% of the rent of 26,000. Ooh, 20% times 26,000. 5,200. So their portion of the rent, $5,200. And again, if we just want to double check ourselves, if we add those three answers together, the 13,000 plus 7,800 plus 5,200, we get 26,000, which is the total for all our rent. And so that should be the information we have in our table. And that is the end of worksheet 40 and also the end of your pie chart. So you should now be able to finish up your pie chart and be ready for your final. Again, that's under that last section, business finance, and the board wanted to move, where we calculated inventory value and overhead.